Welcome back, dear viewers, and as you've just seen on your screens, it's now the second or third day, or the beginning of the of Muharram. And as you can see from the processions on your screens, essentially Muharram has now started. The vibe has started. The atmosphere has started within Karbala, the city of Karbala, which is the heart of Ashura in itself. Everything that happens outside of Karbala and the city of Karbala in Iraq. Everything that happens outside is basically trying to mimic or trying to be as close as they can to the city of Karbala. So when we show you what's happening in Karbala, that is the heart of Ashura and the spirit of Ashura being within the vicinity of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So you know, each day we'll show you bits from the scenes of Karbala, and I'm now joined by a guest who's actually consecutively been in Karbala during the 10 days of Muharram, and we're delighted to be with Imran. Datoo, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
A dear friend of mine, Imran. I've shared many a times the pulpit with him, and it's an honor to be with you. And I guess from, as I was mentioning, you've been in Karbala during the 10 days of Muharram. I've been personally about maybe 6 years ago. I'm not sure how it's like now. I'd love to know about the changes that's happened between them. But from your experiences, you've been, you know, was it 2 years ago and then last year?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes,
yeah. So 2 years ago and last year. Tell us about your initial experience from a recitation point of view. You being a reciter, because I say this because a lot of reciters out there, and as I was mentioning, you know, outside of Karbala, everyone wants to be within the vicinity of Imam Hussein. From a reciter point of view, our responsibility, as you know, is to try and connect the audience to Imam Hussein through recitations and through tears and through emotions.
Absolutely.
So because we recite about Imam Hussein, being actually there, and your responsibility is to recite, it must be, you know, a heartwarming experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, to go to Karbala in Muharram itself was a target of mine, or a dream of mine, if you will. And to actually be invited by Imam himself is a big honor, huge honor. And it was for the main purpose of reciting, like you're saying, doing the tabligh in our own way. And that in itself brings that responsibility, like you just said. So my expectations for the first time was nervous in a little way, because Muharram, you hear about all these things that go on in Karbala on the day of Ashura itself, on the 10th of Muharram. So it was all a little bit, not so much nervous, maybe more anxiety. You're just anxious a little bit to see what to expect. You don't know. So the Muharram atmosphere in Karbala is second to none, 100%. As I'm sure, if you, like you said, you've experienced in the atmosphere sense, I'm sure nothing's changed from day one to now. Because the azar, the gham of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is alive from, like I said, day one till now. Alhamdulillah, a miracle in itself. From a reciter's point of view, the job that I was going to do there to recite, and that the responsibility Imam had given me, it was very, you know, you had to get it in your mind to make sure you deliver, you come through and hope that it's accepted by Imam alayhi salam. So when it came to preparation, I'll be honest, the first time I went, I didn't prepare as well, if you will. I think part of it was because of maybe the nerves or the anxiety, just to see. So it was more a case of, okay, let's jump into it, and then inshallah we will go day by day. It went well, alhamdulillah. But you know, as I'm sure you would say, any recitation you do, anything you when you perform something, you will criticize yourself to a new level, to make sure you improve, to make sure you progress, for the sake of Imam, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think that was something just me personally, stood out for me quite a lot. So that the second time that I went, I made sure to prepare a lot more. And I think the second time when we went, we didn't have a lecturer within our group. So myself and my dear brother Abbas Lalji, we both went together, and we were told to recite the Masaib as well. And this is something we've never ever done before. Really? So that now again brought more responsibility of Imam that he had given us, and again is an honor 100%. So this definitely required some preparation, because that's a field that we've never been to. So it was different in that case. Like, and you know, one year you do your comfort zone, and in the second year even though we were still reciting the Nawhas, the Latmiyas, but we were put into a deeper end by needing to recite the Masaib. of the various shuhada of Karbala as well.
So you went, obviously, because when I go, I'm Iraqi, so I speak the language, I know the culture inside out. From your first time, coupled with the fact that, it was, just jumping into the deep end, how did you find, how did you experience it from being, number one, being in Karbala during Muharram, and then coupled with the culture as well that you had to get used to, and you being from a different background, how did that work out?
Yeah, so the language barrier was there 100%. Being, speaking like 2, 3, 4 languages, alhamdulillah, I have in my roster, if you will. But Arabic is not one of them, neither is Farsi or anything. So there was definitely that language barrier. And alhamdulillah, within our group, we did have some Iraqis who would do all the talking for us and kind of get what we wanted. But we do, like, I personally like to pick up like a few words here and there, a few phrases. In fact, the last time when we both went, just now with the group, with the volunteers from Karbala who are helping us, they made me make a list of all the Arabic phrases, and so and I was testing it out on various people, including yourself. If you remember. So I like to pick it up, and then I have it. So inshallah, for next time, you keep improving and try to communicate as best you can.
Brilliant, brilliant. So there was a lot of different aspects that you had to take in. So when people associate Karbala and Ashura, they always think about the matam, the lamentations, the streets, the shrine itself. But from yourself, just walking in the streets, what was the atmosphere like for, just waking up in the morning, having breakfast, for example, and just walking the streets? What was the vibe like during Muharram? And how does it differ from outside of Muharram?
Yeah, so firstly, the vibe in Karbala compared to when we were in the UK on the day of Ashura is completely different. Like, you wake up there in an automatic sense of grief. You're already like, because if you're there prior to the day of Ashura, the lead up, the different, on the streets, there's the reenactments of the deaths of the Shuhada Karbala. So you witness that, and it gets you put into that mode. And then come Ashura, you're already like, your heart is building up to kind of let all that grief out as soon as Ashura hits. So as soon as Ashura gets up, you get up in Karbala, and you're in that form of mourning. You go out on the streets, and there are people there, doing the tatbir, doing matam, doing latmiya. You hear lectures from everywhere, and everyone's just, you hear mourning, you hear crying, and that is the vibe here over in Karbala. Whereas over here, you get up, and it's almost like become a little bit ritualistic, I want to say. It's not a great thing, because obviously there's so much meaning on this day of Ashura that you want to lament and you want to grieve for a particular purpose rather than keeping it ritualistic, which sometimes we find in the West. But in Karbala, apart from a day of Ashura, the vibe is, there is difference in the vibe, 100%. You can see the air, the tension is different, if you will. So
I remember during my time, I think from sunrise, the whole atmosphere, it's like, because from what we know in the story of Karbala is that during a period of time there was chaos, it was a war, so there was fighting, and then there was screaming and whatever, and then with the drums as well, so Karbala becomes almost Karbala
back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah,
so when you walk in the streets, you actually see it, even the blood, like even when it comes to the tatbir as well, you see that, like, it becomes the battlefield.
Absolutely.
Like, there's swords everywhere, there's blood everywhere, there's drums, and you just feel like you're at that moment,
at that zone,
at that time as well. And I think there was something that I noticed as well when they do the maqtal. So the full story of the whole narrative of Karbala and the story, and then they end it with Salat al-Dhuhr, or just after Salat al-Dhuhr, which is, I think, according to the narrations, that's when Imam Hussein was actually killed. So it reaches the pinnacle of grief and lamentation, and everyone is just so charged up with emotion. And then after that, you see the dip. And you've been there on like the night of the 11th. Everything is just dark and it's just solemn. The candles are out and they're doing the Shama Ghariban, right? So that from what you're saying, London doesn't have that.
No,
you know what I mean? So London, you wake up, okay, I have to go to the mosque, and it's just you come across normal London life.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's not the same. It's not the same. Although we try to reenact it, but it's really not the same. So, yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. So from just to kind of recap from your experiences, from a recitation point of view and the culture that you were trying to associate yourself to, and these streets and the atmosphere, if you go again, what will be your expectations, or from a recitation point of view? Will you be more prepared? Will you know what's going on? How does it work for the next time you go?
Yeah, so I think, alhamdulillah, as time's gone from the first time I went to Karbala, my own like albums, for example, are being released. So with that, something I personally really like to do is recite the poetry that I have attained from poets themselves, as opposed to you know, reciting various other nawha khans. It's not a bad thing, but it's just something for me personally, because it's any production or any nawha we take from day one to the end of the production, it's my work collected with the poets together. So it would be, for me, it's a case of me telling Imam, this is my hard work that I'm reciting for you. So something I would do different is recite more of, I think, my poetry, or rather the poetry that's been written for me, but maybe composed by myself, something like that. And that would add to the preparation time as well. The preparation would be easier in that sense. But
have you written before when it comes to poetry?
Have I written before? I think I've written one, but it's not a strong point, not strong, I guess, thing of mine.
Yeah.
To write. I wrote one in English, actually, on Hazrat Qasim alayhi salam. I don't know where it is. I don't have it on me, but I've written
it. Was it a while ago?
It was a while ago. I think around.
So why do you feel like you want to start writing your own poetry as well as getting poetry from?
No, I don't. The thing is, I tried to start writing, but I think, and this is something I believe in, that if you have a gift, use it. But if you like, I personally, I don't think poetry is a strong sector of mine that I have. So I think I would probably prefer to leave that to the experts.
Okay.
And but when it comes to composing, when it comes to, I guess, delivering that material, inshallah, that's something that I like to strive towards and, you know, perfect and get stronger.
Yeah, I guess, look, in the next couple of episodes, we'd love to know more about your expertise, your skills, your techniques, inshallah, especially when it comes to creativity, the tracks, the albums. I'd love to, because I have my own experiences when it comes to creating tracks. I'd love to know from your perspective as well. You know, what do you do on a day-to-day basis when it comes to, or the process of actually creating a track? What is it that actually happens? So we'll talk about that definitely in the coming episodes. So look, from I can definitely relate to you when it comes to your experiences in Muharram and being in Karbala and Ashura. So you know, very, very, very much appreciate your time. We're definitely going to have much more. We're going to have a lot more interesting conversations, hopefully in the next couple of episodes. But for now, we thank Imran Datoo for his time. Coming up next, actually, is going to be Dear Ma'sooma, the segment of Dear Ma'sooma, with my co-host Zahra and also with Ma'sooma Jafar. They're going to be speaking about quite an interesting topic, looking into Shia Sunni communication. Over to you, Zahra.